Welcome to the City Manager's Report. Your hosts, Emily Springstrow of Oshkosh Media and City Manager Mark Roloff.
Hello everyone, and thank you for joining us for this special edition of City Manager's Report, the Top 10 of 2018. I'm your host, Emily Springstrow, joined as always by our City Manager, Mark Roloff, and we've got a wonderful episode lined up for today. So with that, I'd like to welcome City Manager Roloff. Thanks for joining us for this special episode, Mark.
Great to be here, Emily.
It's it's exciting episode. On a typical episode of City Manager's Report, we cover the most current things that are going on, and then go ahead and take a look at the upcoming Common Council meeting agenda for the following week. But as the year comes to an end, we like to take a little bit of a look back and celebrate some of the accomplishments that we've had here in Oshkosh with an annual Top 10 episode. So in this Top 10 episodes, we'll be counting down the top 10 items we've talked about on CMR this year, the biggest achievements and topics, a year in review, you could say. And we have 10 awesome things to highlight for you today. So without further ado, I'd like to thank City Manager Roloff once again for joining us on our Top 10 episode. So Mark, with that, we're going to go ahead and introduce number 10. So first off, yes, and this is a great one to start off with too. Number 10 for Top 10 is Community Ice Rink brings winter fun. And this is a really fun one, seasonally of course, but this was actually a really big accomplishment in 2018.
This was a huge collaboration with the Oshkosh Area Community Foundation and the City of Oshkosh, and in particular our Parks Department. They created and funded an outdoor ice rink, and we opened it in January, and kids took to it right away. Became a great location for families to in some cases learn how to skate for the first time, in other cases take up something that they already enjoy. And it was such a great positive reaction. Best Western Hotel ended up starting to serve hot chocolate for families out there, and it was really a great addition just to add to the downtown winter fun.
Definitely, and the community reaction, like you said, was really positive. We're bringing it back for 2019 too, so be on the lookout for that and make sure you come out and enjoy the ice rink this winter as the weather gets colder.
We're very happy, and of course, the Community Foundation is such a wonderful partner. They find donors who will make this all happen, and we're looking forward to another year in 2019.
Definitely. So moving on to number 9 of our Top 10 episode here, that is that GO Transit adds new buses to their fleet, and this was also a really fun thing to celebrate in 2018, Mark. They replaced 7 buses this year.
Well, we have a fleet of 10 buses from 2003, so replacing 7 of them. They're well past the normal life of about 12 years. So we pretty much collected a bunch of grants that we had been working on for a number of years. Every one of these was funded with a grant at 80%. So you can see what the buses look like. They're modern in terms of Americans with Disabilities Act compliance, just very easy for the public to be able to get on and off the bus. And of course, they're this clean diesel buses, so they burn very, very cleanly, and they're also fuel efficient. And of course, you got the bike racks in the front and all those features that our riders really love. And we had 1 million riders on GO Transit in 2018. So I think it says a lot about how people enjoy our bus system. But we have to stay current with those buses, and this was part of it.
Yes, and you mentioned that the buses were funded by federal and state grants. So, of course, GO Transit staff is always working really hard to secure funding for these types of things.
They are relentless in looking for these, and they were very creative in trying to understand how the grant system works to get these done. And we still have a few more to go, but they're going to continue to do that in the coming years. So kudos to GO Transit, and thanks to our bus passengers for being patient, because these 15-year-old buses were really showing their age, and they were very patient in waiting for them to get brought up to speed.
Definitely. So very exciting for the new buses that were added to the fleet in 2018. Moving on to number 8 of the top 10 here, we've got Unity and Community Celebrates Diversity. This was a really cool event that happened in 2018. Actually, it was May 5th was the inaugural event.
And fortunately, the weather on May 5th was wonderful. So
beautiful.
It was a partnership between so many different organizations, so many different cultural organizations from a multitude of backgrounds. And we were so blessed to have this wonderful melting pot of culture, cuisine, some really good cuisine.
Really good food.
And a lot of friendship. The number of people there were just, hey, we want to learn about our culture here. Let's tell you about it. A lot of things for people to go see, and that was a lot of fun. Great turnout throughout the day, and you could see with some of these areas where people just love to go to and sample the food.
Yes, and we have to mention the lake flies, which we're looking at right now. That was unveiled at the Unity and Community event, and really great community art project. And now you'll see them pop up throughout the city of Oshkosh.
We have them displayed throughout the city to really show those off, and the different interpretations of the lake fly, which, as Mayor Cummings said, much maligned lake fly, just showing in some cases how they're valuable to our ecosystem, and also how you can be creative in making this ugly lake fly look pretty cool.
Definitely. So really happy that Unity and Community was such a success. They've already got the next event scheduled for April 13th for 2019. So we're really looking forward to that in a new location as well.
It'll be inside because April 13th can be a little dicey weather-wise, so we'll make sure it's weather-friendly regardless.
Yes, so another really wonderful collaboration between a lot of different groups and organizations in the community, and we're really excited for next year's event already. Moving down to number 7, we've got changing of the guard at Fire Chief. And this was a huge topic of conversation early on in the year as Chief Franz was retiring after many years in service for Oshkosh.
A definite bittersweet event because we wanted to thank Chief Franz for all his years of service. And he was justly recognized for all the contributions he made, his dedication, and the improvements that he made to the system. And then we had a process to find his replacement. And you can see the changing of the guard literally right here with Chief Tim Franz and Chief Stanley taking over. The public input process was very important to this because the fire chief as well as the police chief, we had the same process a couple years before, engaging the public. It was really important. And then, of course, once the new chief takes over, the new chief has to hit the road and talk to the public and hear from them. And I think Chief Stanley has been a great transition and a great successor to Chief Franz's legacy. And now Chief Stanley is engaging the new department, his new department, on where they would like to go to the future. And there's a lot of great input that we're getting from all of our employees about ideas we can do to improve the department. So we're happy to see Chief Stanley with us.
It really is an exciting time for the Oshkosh Fire Department, and we're excited to see all the ideas that Chief Stanley has coming moving forward in 2019, and we're happy to work with him. We're very thankful to be able to have worked with Chief Franz as well, and just a really great topic for the top 10.
And I appreciate the help of the Police and Fire Commission because they are the ones who select the fire chief, but they included everybody from my position all the way through the organization and to the public as well to get good input so that this person reflects our values. And the last thing, the little tidbit of information is that Chief Stanley is the first fire chief we've hired in our entire city history from outside the organization. Wow. So that was, that was a tough thing for the organization to, what's an outsider going to be like? They've been very welcoming to Chief Stanley, and Chief Stanley has embraced the department, and that's a great thing to celebrate.
Awesome. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. We're going to kind of change gears here for number 6, moving on to some streets projects, and that is our number 6, is a lot of major street projects were completed in 2018. So, Mark, the big one, of course, was Oregon, I think. That one started off, and it was a major reconstruction.
It's year 1 of 5, so we're going to be talking about Oregon Street for a number of years, but Oregon Street, because of the upsized interceptor sewer that we need to put in, we need to start at the bottom, which is near the river, and then work our way south, and that'll be the first of 5 years. So this was from 6th out to South Park. A lot of work to get done. In fact, it went all the way to 16th, but you see, directions to restaurants and things like that. The businesses were very understanding because this becomes very disruptive to businesses. But they did a good job of getting people over there, and the final product looked wonderful. And it's really setting us up for the future because the sewer will enable us to serve the south end of town a little better, both for residential as well as industrial growth. But There were some hiccups along the road in terms of parking and things like that, but everybody worked very well together to get a good solution to that project.
Yes, so of course, definitely thanking the business owners and the surrounding neighborhoods for their patience throughout that project. And now we want to talk about the Washington Court Street and surrounding area street projects that happened. This was also a really big one that we're very excited about.
Long overdue. It was all having to do with the utilities underneath. Some of them dated back to the 1800s, but we knew we needed to get this done. And the before and after pictures are just wonderful. And it's gotten a lot of excitement. I can't tell you the number of people that have commented to me over the past few weeks since the project's been done. They're so appreciative because Washington Avenue is a big link. East-West Road in the northern part of the city, some of our older areas, gets us to Menominee Park. So and you can see just the positive feedback we've gotten from having this project done.
It is so nice, such a smooth ride out there, and it just really makes the whole area a lot nicer. So we're very happy about all the major street projects that were completed in 2018. So now we're moving on to our top 5 mark for the top 10, and we've got Riverwalk progress on number 5 for the top 10 episode. Riverwalk progress continues into 2019, and it's really exciting.
You can't do a top 10 show without talking about the Riverwalk.
Exactly.
And it belongs here because the progress continues and it's very positive. This area right here is just west of Oregon Street, and this is the one that connects the bridge that was done a few years ago. The bridge actually connects now, and now we're making real good progress on the south side of the river.
Yes, we're very excited about this. We're looking at video from the ribbon cutting for the Morgan area, but we are not done yet. There are plans moving forward.
Yeah, we're moving away from the downtown for 2019, and that's going to be really around the Oshkosh Corporation site. Oshkosh Corporation has generously donated $600,000. We got some state grants to do that, so we're making a little progress in this area because we want to connect it to the crossing over the Lake Bunemer Bridge on I-41, and it will connect around all the way over to Rainbow Memorial Park. So we're real excited about this, and you're going to see that into 2019. But the Riverwalk is an institution that we're so pleased and proud of, and we want to keep that going.
And it has been a journey with the Riverwalk, really. I know you said that we can't have a top 10 episode without Riverwalk on it, and honestly, if you look back at the last, say, 5 years, it's been on here. So it's been a long journey with the Riverwalk.
I was just cleaning out some files the other day and looking at some goals that council had set for me for my first full year in 2009. And we want you to get started on the Riverwalk, Mark. And you look at it now because of all the progress we've made. But it did start out where there was a time when we had no Riverwalk. Yeah. And a lot of people wondered if we were ever going to get it done. So now it's almost like, well, everybody expects another phase of the Riverwalk to get done. I got to give our public works staff their kudos for working on coordinating all the engineering part of it. Our community development staff for the project coordination, as well as Community Development Director Alan Davis, relentlessly pursuing grants. And at a time in 2009, 2010, people weren't pursuing the grants. We relentlessly pursued them and were very successful. And the DNR, who's the big granting agency for that, uses us as an example of what communities can do when they put their mind to it.
It's just so cool, and it's such a special thing here in Oshkosh. So we're very proud of that, and we're happy to have it on the top 10 of 2018 as well. Moving on to number 4, Mark, we've got South Park improvements are completed, and this was a lengthy project, really.
Yeah, there's a mixed signal in there because it took longer than we wanted it to, but it was a wonderful collaboration between our Parks Department. It was their park, but the Parks Department recognized that they were a fundamental part of resolving and addressing stormwater issues in that area. So they worked very closely with our Department of Public Works and our stormwater utility to take the park and not to take away from the recreation enjoyment that you have, but also knowing that we needed to address some stormwater issues, both from a quality as well as a quantity standpoint. And you can see these are some of the before pictures, and the waterways were a little kind of eroded and things like that, and now they've been restored with new rock and just stabilization of the Riverwalk, an area where people can go fishing, and that makes it very family friendly, and it just addresses the stormwater issues as well.
Yes.
Doesn't resolve all of them in this area, but it really takes care of a large part of it.
Definitely. And yeah, like you said, it's a stormwater project too. And so they dredged those ponds, and the amount of sediment that was taken out of there is unbelievable. You can see the new lookout point too that is also ADA accessible. So it's really overall a wonderful park improvement for visitors to the park, in addition to the beautiful stormwater project that took place.
And you see that we also did some of the parking lots, so
Yes.
it just makes it just easier for families to unload their picnic baskets and things like that, so they can enjoy that. And it is one of our iconic locations in the city. At prom time, kids are out there getting their pictures taken, wedding photos, just family photographs. You'll see all those things go on. People are very proud of South Park, and as well they should be. And so we're so appreciative of the collaboration of our departments, the public for their patience, because
Yes.
this park is used a lot, and it just was not real homey for most of 2017 and part of 2018. So we're very pleased that we are able to show it off, and it's once again a jewel in our park system.
It's beautiful, it really is. And as we're moving on into the winter season, it's still beautiful, but we're excited for spring to come around too, so we can really enjoy the new updates to the park. So Mark, you ready to go into the top 3 of our top 10 of 2018?
Absolutely. Let's
All
go
right.
for it.
Number 3 is Oshkosh Corporation breaks ground for global headquarters. Now, this can't be too much of a surprise that this is on the top 10.
No, not at all, because last year we talked about when Oshkosh Corporation made the announcement, and we were so excited about that because of what it means for our local economy. So we had a lot of work to do once Oshkosh Corporation made their decision, and we're on the clock because they're planning to open a year from now. So the first thing we had to do was make sure we had all the infrastructure in place, and that started in 2018. So the extension of Keller Street and the extension of Westfield that'll lead to their entrance. So there'll be 2 separate entrances getting there. And also all the surrounding areas, because there's a lot of development that's happening along there as a result of it.
Yes, and so the projects that you mentioned with the infrastructure, that's really leading into 2019, beginning with the Oshkosh Avenue revitalization, really.
Correct. And, I know some people right now get a little concerned because a lot of trees were taken down, and a lot of that was on private property, but there are some new zoning standards that were established by the council for that area because they want it to be a corridor that they can be proud of and that people will take notice with. And so the standards from a zoning standpoint have increased. So we're getting a lot of interest in the area. A couple projects have already been approved, but a lot more are being talked about, which I can either confirm or deny, except to say there's things going to be happening in 2019. They just have to work on the details of it.
It's really exciting, and maybe you could talk about just the economic impact that we have here. I mean, this is a big deal, not only that this huge company is staying in Oshkosh, but like you said, there's a lot of interest and development in the area surrounding it.
Yeah, in addition to all the job retention, you're seeing a lot of interest along the Oshkosh Avenue corridor. So, there's already been some retail that's been put up there, a preliminary plan for a hotel, but it's yet to be named. That's really the issue, is what brand of hotel it's going to be, but hotel near Oshkosh Corporation, and some additional retail, medical offices, financial institutions, 2 bank and a credit union have both announced they're going to be going in that area. So you've got a lot of excitement that people want to be in that corridor. They want to be near Oshkosh Corporation, knowing that having that institution there for such a long time, it's an iconic institution in the city, and we're so proud that they chose us to retain their global headquarters right here in the city of Oshkosh.
Definitely. And we're also very thankful to the public and the community for their patience throughout this whole process.
There was a lot of things that went on, a lot of disagreement over it, and now we got a clean slate. In 2019, we're going to be looking at what do we do with the balance of the Lakeshore site. There'll be a lot of public input on that. And there'll be some disagreements along the way, but in the end, I think it'll be a good process, and people will be able to say, what do we want this to look like for the next 100 years, and looking forward to that discussion with the public.
Definitely. All in all, a very exciting topic, and we're very happy that we can discuss that for our top 10 of 2018. Moving on to number 2, Mark, that is the revitalization project's Refresh River East area. And this is kind of a culmination of a lot of things in the area because it's all in all a really exciting thing happening in this spot in Oshkosh.
We talked about the street project along Washington Avenue and Court Street, and that certainly was a helpful part of it. But these represent investments that the private and nonprofit sector said, we believe so much in this area and what it can mean for the city, and certainly, a good business decision, hopefully for all of them.
Right.
But it starts with the Howard, which is the old Fraternal Order of Eagles, and they've turned it into a wonderful venue for entertainment and meetings and banquets and things of that nature. The revitalization they've done and the attention to detail is just astounding, and it's just a beautiful facility. And I want to thank the investors with them for trusting us and putting their faith in us. And then, of course, in concert with that, the YMCA right across the street and our public library. Our public library is sort of an anchor in that area, and they've been working hand in hand with all of our partners up and down there. And then, of course, the investment that they put in, and the donors who felt so strongly about downtown Oshkosh that they were willing to invest, publicly invest through donations into the YMCA to make that a great institution. And then, of course, the final thing has to do with Washington Avenue, but it's the William Waters Plaza.
The William Waters Plaza, yeah, and that, I think they were waiting with the Washington Street too. Now we're going to see a lot of updates happening come spring with this. The neighborhood has been huge in making this happen. You can see the renderings, but they're going to be bringing in the benches and tables, and that whole area is just going to come to life, I think, especially with the library right there. A lot of really good opportunity, and it's just a really great project.
The River East Neighborhood Association has been so cooperative and so helpful in presenting ideas. They take great ownership in William Waters Plaza as well as the general area. They want this area to be revitalized and they want to be a part of it. They've done fundraising. The gazebo you see in that photo, they're working on the final fundraising for that. But the tables and chairs and the chess tables and all those things, and then working closely with the library to make sure we have a good collaboration with all the institutions in the area. I see programming from the library coming out into the street, into William Waters Plaza, and engaging the neighborhood, making it look like a neighborhood of choice in the city. And we didn't even mention the old Washington building that was converted into residential housing, very gorgeous housing that in an old building, and the imaginative things they did to keep the historic nature of that area. We're just so happy that people are willing to trust us so much that they're willing to put their own money on the line to make that happen. That says a lot about trust when people are willing to put their money on the line.
Oh yeah, totally. And this whole area, it's going to become a place for people to come together in the community and a sense of neighborhood. And that's really what it's all about. And that's why this is number 2 in the top 10, really. It's what it's all about.
It says a lot about our downtown area because it's just adjacent to the downtown, and that'll seamlessly meld together. And I think it'll help our downtown as well as the area, the neighborhood, the River East area to the east.
Very exciting stuff. So, Mark, we're down to number 1 for the top 10. We're going to switch it up a little bit, and I'm going to put the reins over to you and give you the honor of announcing what the number 1 top 10 item is for 2018.
I wish I had a drum roll, but it's kind of maybe a little contrarian project, but it's our transload facility, which is going to unleash wonderful economic opportunity for our community. So transload facility was opened in the spring, but let me tell you a few things about this. This is the first publicly owned transload facility of its kind in the state of Wisconsin, the entire state. And it's the only transload facility, the only one of its kind in all of Northeast Wisconsin. So there's some real big issues with there. It was so supported by the state of Wisconsin that we received a Transportation Economic Assistance Grant. The governor showed up, several cabinet members showed up, as well as business community that sees the economic power that this can unleash, because it creates an opportunity for attracting businesses and economic development to that specific area, because businesses can now bring their goods to this location as an alternative to perhaps going trucking and fighting the traffic and going through Milwaukee or something like that. Get it on the rail and get it to their destination a lot more cost effectively.
It's literally streamlining transportation for businesses that are near this transload facility. And like you said, it's the only one of its kind in Northeast Wisconsin, which is a huge opportunity for Oshkosh to attract new organizations and new interest there.
It sure is. And and I'd be remiss if I didn't also mention that Watco, which is the parent company of Wisconsin and Southern Railroad, they worked very closely with us. We had only budgeted about $400,000 for this project from our own city contributions. And as this project grew, it got us scared. How much was this going to cost? It still only cost us $400,000. Watco recognized the value to them, how they could attract businesses, and so they continued to up their contribution throughout the project. Then we got the state that continued to fund it at 50%. So we got our $400,000 probably went to over $2 million in total investment for this facility. And now Watco has been purchasing land in our Southwest Industrial Park. A lot of their customers are looking at buying properties. And so we haven't sold many properties in the Southwest Industrial Park for several years. The economy just wasn't working that way. Now we're getting a great deal of interest in that. We're looking at expanding some roads in there to accommodate the transload facility. And while it's tucked away in the industrial park, I encourage you, when the weather gets better, to go out there and see what it is, because it allows the vehicles from Oshkosh Corporation to get loaded on. So they're not, they were previously getting loaded behind a residential area, which was very disruptive, and that is now gone away. So there's so many positives that come from that, but the economic impact, it's not going to be visualized all the time because people won't necessarily appreciate it, but the fact that so many people have invested in this, I think they're committed to its success.
Definitely. And all the background that we just gave on this, we were joking about this number one topic in the top 10 because transload facility doesn't really sound like the most fascinating thing for a number one item, but really this is a huge thing in Oshkosh. And so we really want to educate and make people aware of how cool this is, really.
This is really going to benefit, they call the logistics industry, in terms of transportation, movement of product. And we are, with it being the only one of its kind in all of Northeast Wisconsin, you're going to see a lot of commerce happen because of that. And as Oshkosh Corporation ramps up its production of their JLTV, this will be where a lot of those vehicles will first hit the road after leaving the assembly line. So we're excited about that. A great project for 2018, even though it's a little bit of maybe an unsung hero, but it absolutely deserves recognition, and you're going to see this happen in future years. Oh
yeah, that's not the last you're going to hear of the transload facility. We've got a lot of things coming up in 2019. Like you said, a lot of street improvements moving forward. So
very exciting. It's a great way to top off 2018. Great progress in the city of Oshkosh, and thank everybody. There are so many people involved in the transload project with our community development, public works, finance department, as well as the community in general. That collaboration works so successfully, and we're going to look for more of that in 2019.
Yes, a wonderful number one topic for the top 10. And these episodes always go so fast because we are out of time here, Mark, and we had a lot of really wonderful things that we talked about in the top 10 episode. And we're very grateful to have you here to recap all the great things that happened in 2018 and give us a little peek into 2019. So thank you very much, Mark, for joining us for Top 10.
You're welcome. It's been a lot of fun.
It's been a lot of fun. So once again, thank you to our viewers for joining us for the top 10 of 2018. Make sure you check out Oshkosh Media's website for the GovTV schedule and some more information about some of our other programs. You can also listen to City Manager's Report on 101.9 Oshkosh FM, also on the TuneIn Radio app for mobile devices and on our website. Don't forget to like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, check out our YouTube channel for government meeting programs and past episodes of your favorite programs. And as always, if you have a question for City Manager Mark Roloff, you can send it to us on email, on our Facebook page, or on Twitter, and we will answer it on the next episode of City Manager's Report. So once again, thank you so very much for joining us for the top 10 episode of City Manager's Report for 2018, and we'll see you in 2019.